So, sir, would you care to give us an explanation as to what you mean? Maxwell asked. Certainly. You lot have just witnessed one example just a moment ago. I used flow acceleration to move from there to here to tell off my dearest, Alex explained, gesturing from where he had been mere moments ago and to where he now stood. But you didn't chant anything, Cleany observed. Of course, chanting isn't always an option in the heat of battle. Sir, shouldn't we have mage knights guarding us casters? Daisy asked. Normally, but a battlefield is chaotic. Expecting things to go the way you expect them to is the height of folly. It is why I got the lovely Alyssa here for your sparring partner. You need experience in close combat. That still hasn't answered Klein's question, sir, Maxwell pressed. Ah, yes. Well, you see, I have these, Alex began as he rolled up both of his sleeves, revealing his forearms. The class looked intently but just saw bare skin, with the exception of his right hand, which had half its palm and 3 fingers made of metal. Are we meant to be seeing something, sir? B asked. Your shimmer's still up, Alex, Yu said, pointing a gauntleted finger at his arm. Ah, yes, sorry. Running a hand down each wrist, a shimmer of light faded, revealing 3 magical runes tattooed on each arm. The runes for flow acceleration, perfect balance, and spider feet were on his right wrist. At the same time, his left wrist had the runes for repelling field, dizziness, resistance, and greater perception. Tattooed runes? Gunter asked as he approached Alex and took a closer look. Exactly, Alex replied with a grin, offering his arms for closer inspection. With this invitation, the rest of the class approached and examined the marks themselves. How do they work? I was under the impression runes needed to be engraved in inanimate materials, Gunter asked, looking up to meet Alex's gaze. This one is more Yu's experiment, Alex said, gesturing to the towering teacher who was watching the exchange. If you find potent enough reagents and produce an ink with them, the tattoos can function, Yu explained in a jilted tone. Oh, that sounds simple, B muttered as she ran a hand over the tattoo. Oh, she's just being modest. You have to synthesize a reagent of insanely high potency. If I remember, you ended up using a mixture of fresh basilisk venom, ancient dragon blood, and kraken ink willingly given. The class all paused to gaze at the smithing teacher with awe. The teacher in the towering armor had to obtain materials from 3 dread beasts of a significant level, all just to test out a theory about tattooing. So how do they work, Chief? Gunter asked. Similar to any other magical item. I just pour mana into them. Bit of an odd choice for runes, though. Surely you would have been better off with strength enhancement? Maxwell asked, as the class finished the last of their inspections of the tattoos. Depends on who's getting them. Strength enhancement on someone like me is pointless. I am weak as a kitten without my magic supporting me. Enhancing a low number will do little. So I focused on my real strengths. And they are? Daisy asked. I'm flexible both in thought and body. I can cast awkward spells easily just because I'm double-jointed and can bend my fingers in weird ways that'd hurt another mage. So I picked runes that'd let me not tank a blow but not be where the blow is aimed. What about the shield spell? B asked. You mentioned we would also be learning a different method for that as well. Indeed. Now I'm still a tad woozy, so I won't be able to demonstrate more than a couple of times. First things first, can you each conjure up a shield? The class all stepped back and into a line, as Alex indicated for them to do. Then, while lined up, they all chanted the spell to conjure a shield of mana used to defend oneself. Aegis! A glass-like membrane appeared, projected in front of each student. Beautiful. Now, Alyssa, my love, break each of their shields, please. Alyssa nodded and went up to each student. Drawing back her fist, she slammed it into the shield, which shattered on impact. She repeated this with each student before returning to her waiting spot. "Do you see what happened?" "Yes, sir. She overwhelmed our shields," Daisy answered. "Do you know why?" "I know, sir. It is because the mana invested was overcome by the force she exuded," Maxwell answered. "Exactly," Alex said with a happy clap of his hands. "What would happen, however, if you filled it with lots of mana? Say enough to resist that blow?" "It would shatter due to an overload," Maxwell replied unsurely. "Yes and no. The shield will shatter because of an overload. But what happens the second before it shatters itself is it becomes unbreakable." The class still seemed confused. "I will demonstrate. Alyssa, will you hit me with, say, a 7 in your usual repertoire?" Alyssa eagerly nodded as she approached Alex. Drawing her fist back, she swung it with far greater force than she had used on the class's shields. "Aegis!" Alex quickly chanted, summoning a shield at the exact moment Alyssa's fist would have collided with him. The shield naturally shattered, but Alyssa was visibly repelled. "You see what I did?" Alex asked, turning to his students. Gunter was the first to raise a hand. "You timed your overload to coincide with the strike to make a barrier she could not break through." Alex nodded and gave a thumbs up to this answer. "Perfect answer, top marks. Yes, this is known as flash shielding. It is often taught to soldiers, but it is very useful if you can get the hang of it. The only problem will be timing, as you have less than a second between activation and overloading." "What about the runes? Will you demonstrate them for us?" B asked, a grin spreading across her face. Alex, however, looked pensive. "I'm not sure. Get some practice with flash shielding while I recover a bit, and maybe once Alyssa is done beating you guys up, I will show you what my runes can really do." With these final words, Alex went to sit down on the lowest row of the stands and watch the lesson. "Okay, class. My love has asked me to whip you into a shape befitting his students. This will be tough, but don't worry. We have a grade 8 healer, Little Miss Yu. She will patch any broken bones in minutes. Now get ready. I will be fighting you at a 2 of my usual fighting repertoire." "Or would you explain what that is, ma'am?" Klein asked. 10 is if I want to destroy multiple legions. 9 is a single legion. 8 is multiple cohorts. So on and so forth. You're going to be tested at a squad's level. Klein's face paled at this explanation. "We will be fighting one at a time. Sort out who goes when amongst yourselves. The rest can sit with Alex and watch till it's your turn," Alyssa declared, walking to the center of the arena. "Lots again?" Gunter suggested. "I got ones with numbers." The group just nodded. Gunter reached into a pouch and withdrew a new set of lots, and they each drew them. Klein, upon drawing his, exhaled a deep sigh. Meanwhile, B just burst out laughing at his expense. "Wow, you have crap luck," Bai observed as she held her number 5 aloft.